ban here. Analysts, what comes next?
Well, let's see if Fanny is actually gonna make it through. But Suyo is the focus right now for the Philippines. We'll see if either of these two teams will go ahead and commit a chip ban. Malaysia might actually pull the trigger on a chip blue 3 ban later on.
Jushin and Matilda should be targets. Oh, look, oh wait, they're attacking Saison.
Yeah. Again, in their previous matchup, it's the Hayabusa in Nolan that frequently popped up in terms of the assassin pickup. So that if ever Philippines aren't careful with their banning process here, you actually might see Malaysia end up with an alpha, and then the Philippines ending up with something along the lines of a Nolan, which will get invaded on.
All right, Jushin ban down, as you guys mentioned earlier on. So what do Malaysia do? Do they go for the Fanny or what's the contest here?
They'd rather keep the Fanny open, so they'll take out the Cho, because the Cho signals, hey, there's no more Cho, are you really going to let Fanny through? If the Fanny doesn't get banned here, then the Fanny will go through the first pick. Chip is still bannable for the Philippines. If Chip is the ban, then Fanny will get picked. If Fanny's the ban, now Chip comes into the question.
That's a catch-22. I think Malaysia, Coach Arcadia, the mastermind here, orchestrated this first pick well. Power pick for that blue side, which almost instantly neutralizes that 2-pick swing for red, which explains Red's out of this world win rate in WEC24. So instead, Team Philippines says, nah. You go and try and use that chip. I dare you, because there have been a couple of games where chip was totally just snubbed.
Yeah. And as we predicted, it's the alpha for the first pick. If this isn't going to be a Nolan pickup later for the jungle in red 3 for the Philippines, the Julian is still an option with a Suyo God. They can go ahead and steal power picks of the Rome and EXP, contest potentially either the Khalid and Gatot, and then pick up a mid laner in the Valentina. Or sometimes an Aurora blue, red 1-2 does pick up again, does show up from time to time up against an Alpha 1.
Wow, seems like you got it all read out. Renmar is in the zone, bro.
Yeah, these are the possibilities. So Gatot comes through. Could be that Aurora. Could be that hero that
finally
doesn't show up as often anymore.
Spicy.
But I mean, technically, Gatot has been ignored as well. So what do you think about both of these heroes? Do you think that they're still prio? Do they still work the way that they used to?
Yes, I think it comes down to playstyle difference. So the teams that don't pick these two are teams that, for the lack of a better term, are reactive to the current metagame. The Philippines knows itself so well that they know that these are the heroes that matter to them still. So Malaysia now, I'd reckon, I don't know if it's the same priority. No, they're not going to do that. Stormy is still left up open. This is Gojes as Hylos, and the Lunox for Loliel.
Yeah, and Harith early pickup there for the Philippines does signal that them respecting the comfort pick, it seems like, for Loliel, because it seems the teams that have gone up against Malaysia have taken away Harith out of the hands for Loliel. So we'll see magic damage as the main focus here. This sort of makes me want the Philippines to veer away from the Julian option in the jungle, that it needs to be physical. It cannot be majority of your damage is going to come from magic alone. There needs to be physical damage coming in there in the jungle.
So you can hit the Nolan still.
The tough thing is it might just get invaded on.
So, hear me out. What if there's a way for them to
Bane?
No. Look for the Angelic swing. Still possible. Nope, never mind.
Yeah, no. Still the Nolan.
That's the only other option. If you're not saying Julian and you don't want to see Nolan, you try and play for the Angelic in the 2 picks after the second phase starts. But
so, with the Nolan pick coming in from the Philippines here, what type of gameplay are we looking at? Malaysia on the alpha should have better control over the objectives.
Philippines, hit and run until you can commit with the Harith.
Yeah. Philippines needs to protect their jungle. That's the very first condition for them, and that's why they would take away the Matilda from Yumes. They don't have to worry about Yumes' Cho popping up anymore. But now, if Malaysia would want to play a playstyle wherein they could potentially start racking up wins within the first 2 turtles, then they might consider a Tigreal pickup to pair up with that Alpha and whatever mid laner that is going to end up with Malaysia, which the more I see this, I'm still leaning a little bit towards the Aurora. However, if Malaysia want to play a little bit more map crazy, Loi is still an option for them. That's That actually slipped my mind that the Jawhead is one of the top 2 picks of Gomez in the tournament so far, and Malaysia has taken that away. So this might be one of a relatively newer roam pick up here for Gomez. They
Or
can,
he could just pick a Gatot. It
Yeah.
could be right there and there.
yeah, that could already be the roam. Gatot EXP has fallen out of favor for a good amount of teams. They usually just park it in the roam.
Okay. What about the Khalid? Khalid is an option. And the Edith, what do you think about the Edith here?
Oh, thank you for reminding me about Edith. That's someone who I've forgotten a little bit. The problem with the Edith right now is, again, that will make them very magic-coded heavy. With a Gacha in the roam, potentially an Edith EXP, and then you go, of course, a mid-lane mage. That's a lot of magic damage early on. That, yes, there's a line of thought that you can build an early snowball from that, but once a Radiant armor start coming in, then that magic damage isn't going to do much.
Coach Munsayak here might actually be onto something. They're not so sold on the fact that this Hylos might actually go into the hands of Yumes. Rather, the hands of Gojes, because it might still be Yumes. They're covering that base. They still banned out of Phoveus.
So if ever they pick up a mid laner here, that might signal them saying, okay, we're thinking that this is actually an EXP Hylos. Because Hilda is still up in the air right now.
And Khalid.
Oh, it's Malaysia that bans away the Tigreal. I mean, we did pose the possibility that Gomez might pick up the Tigreal here now. So yeah, maybe actually we are already seeing the roamer of Yumes, and we still don't see the EXP laner of Gojes.
Remember, Khalid is still open, right? If they
Yeah.
want to go that route. But for the Philippines, you guys mentioned once again, they need to be able to protect this Nolan. The question is how?
Mid laners, I think the mid laner is going to do their darndest to rotate around with the roamer. The would-be roamer, we still don't know where this Gatos going. I like the Aurora, especially if there's a Hylos on the other end. Just plop an Aurora there. Stop that man horse.
Yeah. The Aurora or the Vex, either. What do you prefer? I'm okay with both, but do you have a preference?
I would prefer if Team Philippines tempered their aggression, because with this Louis pick alone, they're saying we're not protecting Nolan, we're not protecting Saison. Sekai's better watch out for his backside.
It's good, folks. And actually, if this is Rome Hylos, might actually have his work cut out for him in terms of being able to get vision. He might just end up getting poked down if this is a Rome Hylos.
What a draft, like twists on twists, back and forth. Either team accepting the fact that they're reactive because they're still putting out switches. And here we go, the Edith, which I think will be in the Rome. We've seen more Rome Ediths in the playoffs as compared to the XP. And the Valentina, was it stealing?
But here's the thing, guys. Like, that's the beauty of Hylos and Edith, because you can still flex. Because technically the Philippines, they haven't opened that card either.
Yeah.
So they can flex it either way to whichever matchup suits them.
Well, both teams can do that because we don't know where the Gatot's going, and Team Philippines has the final say. They have this last pick here. And I'm looking at Malaysia. I feel like they're playing this Valentina the way Saudi Arabia is playing their Valentina earlier. Not necessarily for stealing ults, but more for just that early to mid-game spike, how useful in the paint a Valentina is.
Yeah. You did mention that you don't think it's not just for the ults, but then I'm reminded of what Coffin did, stealing away the Khalids, and of course, Eternus been mentioning the Khalids. The Philippines decides to default and pick the safest EXP laner that you can get in this scenario, providing the physical damage. It's the Terizla.
And if I may say, gives a better ult to the
Yeah.
Valentina. With a flicker and a dash, she could put that penalty zone wherever she may please.
This is spicy. What do you guys think about the drafts?
I like the journey that we gone through
Yeah.
with the draft. More than the product, more than the ending itself, I'll tell you that. But I think Team Philippines will be the aggressor. With the final five that they ended up with, which is a clearer go at who's in the XP, who's in the Rome. I think Team Philippines should be the aggressor. And if they do this well enough, they should walk away with a Game 1 win.
Yeah. If they are a little bit too passive and don't maximize the fact that they can protect their jungle well with the low E, while pressure the jungle well with the low E, then if they're too passive, Malaysia will be able to find their timing power spike at the right time so that they can start pressuring the Filipino side of the river even more. So it just boils down to Philippines make sure your aggression's right, because Malaysia has a strong possibility of punishing.
So that's what we're going to be looking forward to, ladies and gentlemen, for our upcoming game to open things up for the grand finals. Boys, Mirko, Naisu, take it away.
Eterna, Renmar, and Leo, thank you so much for breaking that down. Once again, it's me, Naisu, and Mirko to bring you our last matchup of MLBB Open for here at WEC for IESF 2024. And man, it's looking spicy because, again, this is a best of 3 grand final. And we're going to find out if the defending country, the Philippines, can defend that title for that WEC title here. Do you think Malaysia has it in game 1 with this draft?
Based on this draft, I mean, personally for me, I like the Alpha more than the Nolan, right? I think it has, for the Nolan, you require way more execution compared to the Alpha. You need to play your game perfect, but hey, Philippines has been able to do that.
Well, we're going to find out exactly what unfolds here. Again, game number 1, prominent and so decisive for a series in the best of 3 grand final. Will it be the Philippines to draw first blood, or will it be Malaysia to set the pace in the series?
And it's already a bit different here, right? Best of 3 means that game 1 momentum is so important.
Yeah.
If you get a game 1 in the best of 5, say you could say, all right, we're experimenting in game 1. We're trying to warm up, but in a best of 3, you need all the points you can get, man. 2-0 and it's done.
The pressure is on, and also you have to take a look at, once again, the lineups like our panel broke it down for us. The mainstay is the fact that this time around, you know, last series we didn't see too much Revitalize action, but there's 2 here across the board, 1 for each team on both sides. Of course, Gomez with the Gatakacha, and then you have Gojes running that Hylos. The Revitalizes change the course and the pace of a lot of team fights, especially when we're talking about early objectives, how things get set up, because, you know, the main thing too is when you throw in a Valentina in the wrench, right? The Valentina there, you're going to be looking at, okay, what ultimates play a part in the role from start to finish of the game? And a lot of times, I like that Renmar mentioned this out. You know, you have this Tarizla now across from you that the Philippines decided to draft. That's another plus initiation that you have if Stormy decides, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take that penalty zone, and I'm going to use the flicker to set things up, and then you can cut people off or set things up too with just having an Edith for Yums.
On top of the fact that Valentina is a comfort pick for Stormy, it's one of his favorite picks, if not it is actually his favorite pick. It's great against the Nolan. If you have dashes in your kit, getting out of the fracture stacks is just so easy, and that's why for Saison, it's going to be really tough to actually catch this Valentina. My question is, who's the real target for the Nolan right now, right?
Yeah.
Because for Gojes on the Hylos, I don't think he's the right target to go for either. I think Alpha, when he gets CC, probably, but there's already a skirmish up top. Level 4 for Fernandez first.
I guess the right target for right now is to go ahead and just focus on this turtle. Both teams, though, going to kind of take their time. Again, these level 4s are very crucial for both the teams on how they win these team fights early on. Gomez nearly there. Going to charge up the Unbreakable. Penalty zone already used, though. Not sure, do they commit?
Great dodge from Yums with the onward to escape from the penalty zone, baiting out the flicker too. So 2 big resources used up. Stormy gonna be caught in the taunt, and the yin yang reaction flickers out to safety, just barely. Sky's on it. Great glorious pathway and a stun from Gojes. Amazing zoning from Gojes, and that's Turtle 1 for Malaysia.
Great zoning, a great response. I mean, they burned the flicker from Stormy, right? But ultimately, it was all part of the plan for Malaysia. They go ahead and using that glorious pathway, that's what I was talking about earlier, between the Edith and having the Hylos. There's so many options for you to go ahead and either sandwich play, cut people off from actually entering that objective zone, and that's what we saw exactly happen. Again, Revitalize wasn't even needed, and so it's the disciplined, clean approach for that first turtle. Philippines, once again, you know, it's nothing too crazy. You're only looking at a couple hundred gold difference. So then you have to start to look at where are the plays going to be made with these diversions.
There you go, onto Yums, but still a bit too tanky. Just gets out with the onward and recalls away. And really, man, we've seen that Malaysia, they've been able to hold out. This is a really good job by Gomez, trying to stagger that recall timing so they have more pressure, more tempo to put on the map. Skies, no, he won't go for it.
Yeah, he's not going to go for that. Again, we've been seeing this pick so much. See a little damage check there from Saison. Stormy's going to be fine, but the Alpha, man, I don't know how many times, I'm sure our panel knows, like, how many times this Alpha has been first picked on the blue side.
Yeah.
You know, it's picked up so often. I guess so far, at least through these stages, we've seen, you know, even the surprise Hilda pick up. Oh, Gojes, he's fine. He's got the Revitalize, he's got the Glorious Pathway. But, again, Alpha is such a big pickup, so much value for any team draft, really. Like, he fits in so many different kind of combinations for what they want to go with. And you know, it's kind of hard to kill too, especially when you have such a front line that protects you. My biggest thing too is we saw the Lunox, what was that, just yesterday, parked in the mid lane.
Yep.
It was okay, but I think it was just not part of the game plan. This time around that it's in the gold lane for Lolio, it's a little bit different on how this plays a part. Do you think he has enough time? Again, it's a matchup between Lunox and Harith to shine later mid-game.
It's going to be really tough, I feel, for the Harith. Around the first few neutral objectives, Lunox, oh, hold up, penalty zone. We're on a go, just still a lot of damage. Plays on from Fernandez. Forced to use the flicker. Yums are doing the primal rat. Torres in the back now, popping his on force. That's going to be the AOG, but Yums flickers out of it. Saison unable to go for the retry. Yums almost surviving, but Torres claims first blood. It is a 4th minute first blood. Turtle number 2, however, going to Malaysia.
Man, I'm surprised. You know, Stormy held on to that penalty zone. He didn't use it. He had the flicker available too. They might have been, oh, there it is. As I say it, jumps in. I don't think he can get anything, but enough to go ahead and pop a little bit of damage off. But that last exchange, what we're seeing here, Mirko, is just Malaysia playing that disciplined route. They go for these objectives. They secure 2 turtles now. They don't have to force a fight if they don't want to. A lot of it is just, again, surviving that initial initiation or aggression from the Philippines, like, you know, we heard mentioned, especially with the composition, but they don't have to get the kills. They don't have to do any of that.
See, with the pathway, Gomez trying to go for the tanky, soak in that damage as much as possible. But the yin-yang reaction was enough to just zone them away from that turret. An easy take for Lolio down below in this winning matchup, Lunox versus Harith.
See what I mean? Like, it's mostly just we're not going for kills. We're just getting objectives. We're just getting turrets and turtles, and it's going to build us this small lead slowly but surely, and that's what they're looking at because, you know, the first items are coming in and being locked in, and those small little wins across the map is exactly what we know wins games. A diversion to this side of the map, we'll see how it's going to be responded. Again, Philippines looking for their own possible setup, and we've seen teams kind of struggle with this in a way. Like, how do we counterplay into this Louis Yi? How do we counter the diversions in our side of the jungle if we have to? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but right now, Stormy's still choosing to hold on to the penalty zone to actually have a response if maybe Yums catches someone or they find their own setup potential. But this is now the 3rd turtle coming up in about 10 seconds. We'll see if Philippines actually wants to contest, if they're in a position to win a team fight, win objective, but they know Gojez is there. Gomez still not quite, you know, tanky enough to actually just front side. He's got to rely on Fernandez too.
Yep.
So it's up. They're going to square each other off. Trying to find this is. I feel like this is the trouble with a Nolan against an Alpha. You got to find it here.
Penalty zone from Fernandez over to Skies right now. You can see the damage coming down. Saison able to get the retribution as he dashes forward. Yin-yang reaction over to Yums. Fernandez will be the sacrifice for the neutral objective. 1-1.
It's a great way to put it. You know, I was wondering if they wanted to contest that last turtle of the game, and they do. They send in Fernandez, his body for the turtle. Gomez will take a couple shots. They're trying to hold down this mid-tier 1. He's tanky enough now, has the passive as well from the Gatakachi. He's going to be fine, goes back to base, but ultimately I would say, you know, Philippines is happy with that. At least they go ahead and get the objective, the turtle. And if you're noticing, right, they're still playing on the macro level. Despite how clean and I would say low kill this game has been so far, it's pretty much even in terms of economy. You know, they're just trying to hold on to the space when it comes to these turrets.
It's all about reaching their item power spikes in the mid game for the control later on. And honestly, if we talk about the late game, right, in terms of damage output and in terms of creativity, I think creativity, I have to give it over towards the Philippines with the low E. They're going to have a lot of different angles of attack. They also have a Nolan that can constantly just look for trades across the map. Macro advantage definitely seems to be the Filipino advantage here as we get into the late stage. But if it comes to damage output, they got a Lunox.
Yeah.
They got an Edith as well with a Primal Wrath. And honestly, Skies who can shred down the Gatakachi, shred down even the Terizla here. Frontliners going to have a tough time. So, I don't know. So far, very 50-50. Like you said, gold lead is non-existent at this point. Both of them are just farming. Both of them are just waiting for the next neutral objective. And it'll come down to those creative little angles from Galantes. If he can find the perfect diversion to maybe get a possible flank to take down Stormy or Lolio before the fight, that's the win angle.
And I think that's why when we look at this kind of game, when you're in this kind of pacing, because again, if you guys have been watching us through the live streams, like this is a very different pacing, right? It's much slower than what we've seen in the past games. And part of that, again, is, yes, the creativity that can come from the Philippines. And that's why I think Malaysia, their draft was so good, because there's so many answers to that creativity that is going to be shown from the Philippines. This time around, though, Malaysia will start up the objective again. About half health here. I'm not sure if they fully commit to this. Buffs are up too. They could choose to go ahead and focus on those. Saesun gets the read. Took the orange on the other side just by himself. Still no team actually committing to it just yet. It's still holding. Sakai's holding it at half. A turret does go down. There's a push though.
Where is Pathway? Gorgeous, great targeting. Into the back, he goes down with the AOG, locking Skies down. Saesun doesn't get it. It's going to be Skies who wins out the red tree battle. Fernandez with the flanker, but Yones will chase him down with the primal wrap. One last shot is all he needs, but Galantes is there to peel him away. It is 1 kill over to Malaysia and a big Lord too.
A big objective locked in and secured for Malaysia. Surprisingly, again, that passive, the body of Smith for that Terizla, keeping Fernandez alive, and I'm surprised, you know, again, that Primal Wrath wasn't enough from Yumes, even with a Warcry emblem, you know, but unfortunately, no one goes down there. For Malaysia, they can play into this Lord. It's going to be pushing in the mid. They're looking to just, at this point, get some more turrets. That top one on the tier 1 will go down, opens that up. Their main job here, because of this clear, is hopefully they get some tier 2s. I don't think they're going to be knocking on the Holy Shields. Philippines should be able to go ahead and maintain that. Gojez, though, will go in for that cutoff, trying to keep them from pressing on forward, but the tier 2 mid will go down. And maybe this is, again, at that point where you're looking at the power spikes. Is it there? Stormy grabs the Avatar, the Guardian ultimate. Look at the push happening. Wow. Saesun goes in, gets his own tier 2. And mind you, this is what happens, Miracle. We've seen this so many times. Oh, hold on. Are they going to go for their own sandwich play?
AOG, they know they're kind of split up right now. Diversion as well, going to be utilized. Saesun able to cut off Skies from the rest of the team.
Oh, he forced
the Spear of Alpha. Now it's asking the Purify coming down with also Lolio jumping with the Chaos.
Oh,
Fernandez putting the hammer down. Torres still able to kite away. That's a brilliant Saesun going to be caught now. Stunned up by Gorgeous and taken down by Stormy. Fernandez on the run. That's Skies with the Spear of Alpha on the chase for the Filipino team. Torres gets splashed in the bush. Stormy gets the double. An amazing read from Malaysia.
Man, Stormy's been holding on that flicker for the majority of the game, but that one he knew. He's here, I'm grabbing that kill. Stormy, we talked about the Valentina for him, and right now he is locked in 3-0-1. They're going to go for the mid turret.
Let's see if they can clear it out. They still have Fernandez on to Terizla. Oh, a ton over to Sky. Spear of Alpha defensive. Penalty zone onto 3 from Fernandez. Locking him down with the AOG. Stormy knocked up again.
Diversion.
A diversion off angle to the side. Galantes spotted. Gorgeous will be the one to be sacrificed here. Let's see. Oh, none of the shots connecting.
What a sidestep.
Gorgeous still able to survive. One last shot should do it. And the glowing wand will burn him down.
Man, Philippines, they had to work for that, though. They had
really
to turn that around some way. But Malaysia has been just winning these fights. And really, it's the lineup that's working in their favor here. Again, going back before on that broken, Saesun, he pushed that tier 2 turret. He got it down, able to get something out of it. And this is always something you have to watch out for when a Nolan is picked up. They like to just go ahead and push. Again, they're going to go ahead and just get in position using that diversion. They know this Lord is up in less than 10. And so the Philippines will go ahead and play around the fact that, again, they have that space towards that bottom side. And this is where we have to see here, too. You know, again, this Lunox picks this Loliel here. Does he have enough damage to go actually and shred someone down? This is very difficult for Philippines, too, the way they approach these fights. Because of the fact you just have a very tanky front line. Look at the angle on the backside.
With a conceal, Yomes able to find onward, forcing to purify out. Now Torres dashing away with him on force. One last shot, Loliel finding the fadeaway. Gomez trying to save the rest of the team right now. The Spear of Alpha will hit him, and Stormy just eliminates him, takes the kill away. 2 members picked off away from Team Philippines. A diversion already being hovered over. Let's see where they go to try to go for a steal. A desperate steal attempt now. Saesun in the bottom lane, Bush again, Spear of Alpha on top of the Earth Shatter. Fernandez taken down. That's 3 members down. Yums will go for the check on the Bush. Yums unable to go for Saesun, but it's all just about the escape for him right now. It's about to fracture, and Gorgeous zones him away. There was even a penalty zone from Stormy.
A good attempt at trying to go, hey, you know, we don't have any other option. Might as well put Saesun in the bush to try to get a steal. But man, Malaysia, their game sense, they know this. They go and spot it out with Yumes and even forcing out that retribution to survive. So again, great play there from Malaysia. Great usage of everything, all the tools that they have to win these little fights, these decisive fights, and turn things in their favor. So now, again, They march in with the Lord here, looking to take these base turrets down. Saison's going to go ahead and push that tier 2 on the top. And they always have to maintain this because we've seen this time and time again where a Nolan from different teams is picked up and he's pushing into the base now. So they're going to have to go for a 4-man defense against this Lord point from Malaysia. Is he going for the end? No, Stormy's there.
There's kind of many Yumps, goes in for the flicker as well. Stormy has recon Loliel. Go over the combo in the battle. Torres is still able to survive. Winter Crown coming down. Loliel going to be taken down by Fernandez. Penalty zone from Fernandez into the AOT for Gomez. Still, the enhanced Lord is up, but Torres is right there. Skies won't be able to take them down. And Team Philippines somehow, some way, they defend against Malaysia.
Somehow, some way, the combination of the ultimates and just well-timed. Again, a distraction. I mean, how many diversions do they have? They have the one from Luo Yi, and then they have Saison. And this is what I was talking about earlier with the Nolan, man. They're going to put him in one of the lanes, force a response from Malaysia, and they just turned what should have been a dire situation, possibly game-ending, to now they're running down mid to get turrets. Talk about IQ in the game. Now Philippines, what more do they get from this turnaround?
The fact that they got a base turret up top with Saison on the Nolan. We were talking about this, Naisu, right? As we get into the later stage of the game, this Nolan is going to be a big threat in the side lanes. And we saw that and I mean, this is just crazy. The fact that they got the base turret was already good, but it's the base turret in the far lane. Far lane away from the next neutral objective. It's going to be really tough now for Malaysia to handle that. The fact that Philippines still have more macro control because they have a diversion, and on top of that, they have a Nolan, and they have to just deal with the far lane somehow, because it's very possible that we see a split push from Team Philippines up top.
You have to remember, this is such a weird situation to be in where, again, you are controlling, if you're Malaysia, you're controlling that pace, you're knocking on the base turrets. You got 2 of them down from the Philippines. But because of the mere fact that, again, you're playing against a version, and they could easily just, if they wanted to ignore the next Lord coming up here, send Saison somewhere to push the map. They can completely do that if they want to. Not to mention there can be fake out diversions too. That's all part of the creativity that we mentioned earlier on. So Malaysia finds themselves in a precarious situation approaching this next objective.
The good thing about this Lunox pick from Malaysia is they might not even need to care about the side lane control. They have a Lunox together with an Alpha, so you can actually burst down the Lord real quick, right? That should be the angle of attack for Malaysia right now. They actually are holding onto the Lord. This is an enhanced Lord, not an evolved Lord just yet. We are not at the 18th minute of the game. But it does seem like for Team Philippines, they're the ones sending Boyi up top. This is it.
Boyi's there, handling the wave. A 4th of the health on the Lord here. Saison go!
Saison with the assassination. Loliel goes boom! In the back now, it's going to be an all-out fight, and Skies wins out the Stormy battle. Saison with the immortality by a Storm is going to be very low. Torres takes him down. Still, Caltizi taken out by Skies. Pops him in a crown as the AOG comes around as well. A great immortality buy from Skies right now. That's going to be Torres jumping in. Skies, Spear of Alpha, but Torres gets the double. Malaysia win the neutral objective, but Philippines win the fight.
They win the fight. They're starting to slowly but surely turn things in their favor. Yes, you get the Lord. You're able to buy some more time. You need that time for the 3 members of Malaysia to come back up. But Philippines will go ahead and clear this out relatively quickly, utilizing their ultimates and everything else to clear things and push into these base turrets if they can. Saison, decisive assassination at the bottom there before that Lord take. And again, you're playing around the fact, look at the range here. You're getting a preview of the range on that diversion, obviously maxed at this point. And it's relatively close still. This game is so close. It's still a 50-50. And this is where you start to see the brain work of both the teams.
Ridiculous
right?
stuff.
The way that they play the macro level and at the highest level, mind you, is what is going to separate this game number 1. Remember, it's a best of 3, man. So all this, again, diversion going to be used. They're looking for their own setup here behind enemy territory. Gojez, though.
Taunt comes in, could have enough damage. Burst Gorgeous down. Oh my god, they do! Even with the Revitalize, Gorgeous gets taken out.
That's a little bit too much damage. Big damn coming out from Philippines, and now knowing their numbers advantage in their favor, they'll handle those waves. They still gotta handle the top 2. This might be an opportunity where they're able to get closer to the base, but because of the way that, again, this lineup is from Malaysia, they need to go ahead and do that a couple times or even just win the next Lord. They're in a relatively good position, though, if they keep pressure here on this side of the map, to have that advantage when it comes to the Lord. Because remember, even if they feign the Lord take in less than a minute, they can always send someone on that top side to push in, and that's something that Malaysia has to look out for. Whoa!
Lolio almost getting the kill, back again, penalty zone though, locks him down. Gomez going for the taunt, and again Lolio will be caught. Great recovery from Stormy. Does he have the flicker to go for the chase on the Saison? He has the flicker, but Saison buys the immortality just right in time. It's going to be a chase from Stormy. Torres walking back again to win a crown bot from Saison as Stormy walks up again. It'll be a kill on the other side. Fernandez taking out Gomez. Buys the winner crown, uses it in time, pops in to revitalize, but it's not enough to keep him alive. Torres has to be very careful. 20 seconds on the clock for an evolved Lord.
Oh, a little messy there from Philippines. They had to respond to that, and they're going to have to go back to base. And this could also mean that that Lord goes in the hands of Malaysia, so they're going to have to pull something creative off again. They still have Torres, they still have Saison. Timers-wise, Galantas will be back up too, so they can still play again with this diversion. Lolio did so much damage though. Uh-oh, once again, he's going to have to clear this out. Lord's going to be starting it up. How do they approach this? Look at the positioning. Pay attention to where Philippines goes across the map. Torres given all the information on what's going on here with this Lord. He's going to swing back around. There's the diversion.
Diversion into the bush. Galantas will take it. Skies wins out the red tree, takes it for the team. Saison in the back line, trying to go for the assassination. Great brilliance timing. Stormy able to get him. Terrified for Gojes to stun.
Those micro decisions, man. Every single time throughout this game. I mean, we're 21 minutes in, but those small moments, even with Lolil using the brilliance to survive that burst, helps them stay in this a little bit longer. So once again, they'll push in with a pretty beefed up Lord this time around. This is going to be quite the fancy footwork that Philippines has to pull off to stay in this game. Fernandez also picking up the Athena shield. They know they're being overloaded with magic damage right now as Malaysia walks in with this Lord. Saison still 15 seconds away. Can Philippines defend this with 4?
It's going to be very tough. Glorious pathway in the back line. Fernandez trying to go for the front line as well. Skies bursts it down. There's Gomez, jumps in as well. It's going to be the immortality buy from Skies. Is that the penalty zone used up earlier? Winner crown used up. Gomez, AOG to the back, unable to find anyone. That's Torres falling down. Galantes is next. Stormy has a killing spree, and Malaysia claims match point in the grand finals.
Malaysia, you can't count them out, but man, what a game one showcased us here. Again, it's a best of 3, so yes, you heard right. They're at match point from being crowned the WEC 2024 champions here at IESF. Still, for me, a game that was almost just 50-50 for the majority, but man, Malaysia, they really adjusted on the fly. You have to respect the fact that they were able to respond to the way that Philippines was moving across the map. They were utilizing their creativity, but Malaysia answered back, man. And this looked so good for them, the way that they responded, the way that they team fought. And, you know, it looked like almost in that last Lord take, Mirko, that Philippines was like, we might have to do something about this, you know, but then they changed on the fly too because the way Malaysia played it. So again, great game number 1 here. Malaysia up 1 point, match point. Panelists, what do you guys have to say about this? What do you think about game number 1?
Thank you, casters. Thank you, Naisu. Thank you, Mirko. We're not at match point. We're at championship point. Just like that. That was such a close game. How did you guys feel about it?
Nerve-wracking, but at the same time, just watching these two brilliant teams. Again, the key phrase that the casters came up with, adjustments on the fly from Malaysia, then from Philippines, then from Malaysia to eventually secure the win. Micro to macro, it was just fantastic MLBB.
For Team Malaysia, I think the major game changer was the fact that their jobs on a lane-to-lane basis, hero-to-hero, player-to-player, it was just much clearer. It was so much easier for Gojes to play man-to-man, for Loliel to be a glass cannon, and for Stormy to be the frontline commander. I think Stormy dictated the pace of 80 to 90% of the fights that Team Malaysia picked. And you'll see in the highlights how in the early game, Team Philippines was figuring that out. Team Philippines was learning that the hard way. And then eventually, come the late game, all they wanted to do was find Stormy, find Loliel, go from there. Team Malaysia did not make that easy.
And that's why heading into the draft, or the early portions of the draft, once we saw the bans, the Alpha and the Nolan trade was so important. Because with the Alpha lineup, the priority and what the team, the Malaysian squad put together around this Alpha, it's very direct. As Leo said, Philippines had to get creative with how they were going to approach this. They couldn't just do a simple front to back because of the Alpha that they're up against, the Edith that was in the roam, and a Valentina in the mid. When you have those two heroes in the roam and mid, you can't be direct about it because there's a high chance that you're going to get punished with the distribution of continuous DPS-like magic damage and true damage from the Alpha.
That's the prime example of right-clicking tanks and mages.
Yeah.
They're casting their spells, yes, but they're also just doing it at a pace that you're not supposed to in those positions.
Yeah.
Eventually, in the late game, I refer to the 15 to 20 minute mark. Team Philippines found their footing. Team Philippines, it's not like they weren't armed to solve this problem that Team Malaysia was presenting. It's a finesse lineup. It's a surgical lineup that they committed to, and they achieved so much. That split push by Saison in the top lane, that was money. That punish in the mid, inside of Team Philippines base after the fact, was money. But after that, again, Malaysia was able to answer to it and say, yeah, let's just protect Stormy well enough and to continue to keep Team Philippines on their toes. And that just made it so much more difficult for Team Philippines to figure something out. The fact that the numbers were always for Team Malaysia meant that Team Philippines were always working with a hand behind their back.
I agree. I think I even started from the early game. I like how the casters put it earlier on. They made a big observation, right? Going and committing for the Nolan in the jungle, it's peculiar because I was asking you guys as well, what is the job of the Nolan in the jungle? Because obviously, in terms of objective take, it's going to be a lot more challenging as compared to something like the Alpha with the draft that Malaysia had. And what was the answer, right? Kill pressure, kill threat. But the problem is, who was the target of the kill threat? They mentioned the Valentina really good. Stormy, turns out that was a huge pick. Wow, amazing, Stormy. Lolios was also very difficult to take down. So the adjustments, honestly, despite Malaysia being able to get that first game, I want to give props to the adjustments that the Philippines made in that game.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, he evolved the Nolan into the 4-1 split. It felt as if the Philippines also acknowledged that it was inevitable that Malaysia would be getting the early game, that they'd be coming from a deficit position, that they needed to play defense and then just get crafty with how else that they were pushing the maps and taking care of their minion waves. So now as we head into the next game, which will probably, I'll still be very surprised if Philippines ends up on the red side here, but if Philippines ends up in the blue side, then I think now it's pretty unanimous. With all of the action that we saw from IESF so far, Alpha really has become the key. With the fall off of Ling from the meta, with all the picks that arose to counter that pick, Alpha is definitely the pick to go now.
So about 24 hours ago, I said, hey, is Alpha the best jungler or is Alpha the best jungler? He really is. The Alpha and the Omega. All other strats start and end with the Alpha. Everything else is just so easy to build around when you have a hero that deals reliable damage, true damage at that, has CC, has sustain, and at the end of the day, is a 50-50 at worst against everything else.
Also the Indonesian word is mandiri, independent. That's the word I'm looking for. Very independent as well. He can go into the team fights. He can also disengage without any help as well. So that's a valid point that you make. And with that being said, what's the answer? Do you ban the Alpha from the get-go? Is Xborg a reliable answer?
I think what we'll see here is with Malaysia already signaling that they're willing to ban out the Hayabusa, Philippines and Malaysia might just end up trading for Alpha and Suyos. Because it's not always a clear-cut victor between the two. It's just they're the best possible mitigator for the other. With the rotational speed, the damage, the clear speed in the jungle. So those might just end up being left in the open. What I'm looking for here is how Philippines will look into mostly tempering what Stormy can bring to the table. I overlooked that Valentina. The Valentina coming in, like I talked to you guys about this, the potential trades there. But the Valentina came out big time in the last 2 picks of the draft for Malaysia. So that's something that Philippines will be looking at.
That's almost as good as a Angeling 2-pick swing.
Yeah.
It's Edith and Valentina. Again, right-click Mage and right-click Roamer. And sure, Stormy picked up what? A solid penalty zone in a Lord fight. An AOG? Did Stormy get his hands on an AOG?
He would get the Avatar of Guardian.
That's just icing on the top. I think the factor of Stormy, Valentina rather, being a good hero in the paint is what made the difference here. You'll see that the what we call in the Philippines when Valentina spits on you alone
The Shadow
changes.
Strike.
What is that?
Shadow Strike.
Yeah, see, you play a lot of Valentina.
Yeah.
So the Shadow Strike already changes the way Gomez and Fernandez engage. So that should also be a key. Not just attacking Stormy in the draft, but even in game. Consider how you will engage on whatever Stormy ends up with.
So we're looking at Alpha, Valentina,
Bio, yeah.
those 2 picks. What about the Luo Yi? Because honestly, the
Yeah.
Philippines utilize that as a huge tool to come back in that mid game towards that late game portion.
Yeah, Loyi, I wouldn't call it like one of the picks you have to look out for. Even more so, I'm looking at the Edith. Yeah, you were mentioning during the draft, Edith. Can Edith come up? It came up on the side of Malaysia. And the fact that they got the Edith meant that they didn't need to park the high loss into the roam anymore. Again, it was really looking like, with the possible scenarios we were presenting, that the high loss was going into the roam, which meant it would possibly lose against the center of the Gata Gacha Loyi combo that we already saw. But since the Loyi was picked up 4th, and then Edith was still open for them, they could put the high loss into the EXP, and the Edith had a little bit of a better chance now to be able to engage. And Goges, again, sticking to the idea that we presented for Goges that Malaysia's thinking about, give him a simple job. Zone out, apply pressure, and he's been doing that perfectly. And he did that very well with that high loss. It's even more so that it was already hard for a Nolan to contest. It was even made close to impossible because of what Goges did with the high loss. So hopefully Edith becomes more hotly contested by the Philippines.
So these are definitely picks that we are going to be looking at as we are moments away of coming into the drafting phase for game number 2. But just to remind you guys, this grand finals is again a best of 3. So we are now at championship point. It's on the Philippines now. The pressure is on them to be able to force a game number 3 if they still want to be able to defend their title.
I'd reckon, as counterintuitive as it is in the current metagame, how red side has way more wins than blue, Philippines should go blue.
Yeah.
Philippines should be able to, again, trade for that alpha, or at least feign the alpha prio. And yeah, the real swings are the 2 in blue in the first phase and the 2 in the last. Like, that's where the power picks came in. That's where Malaysia was able to pick up the high loss and then set the trap, and then that's where the Edith and Valentina came through. So I think for game number 2, if we want to see game 3, we got to see PH in blue.
Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely go blue side. Funnily enough, the bans here of Malaysia with the Eve, Hayabusa, and Joe does make sense for Philippines to just replicate that and even first pick the high loss and the alpha themselves, excuse me. But again, that will boil down to what Malaysia bans on the red side. Philippines bans Suyo, Jushin, and Fanny. Again, I really don't think we'll see Fanny here. What might change up is that if Malaysia decides, hey, let's open up the Suyo. Because if you rush the alpha, then that means we'll get the Suyo. Are you comfortable with that? Then with the Suyo open, the question is, are we gonna rush the alpha? Shouldn't we just rather get the Suyo or pick up something else that might be open that will apply pressure to the Suyo? So that's why if you're Malaysia here, I feel like they should just leave it open. It applies a little bit more pressure into the first pick of the Philippines.
So that means you have 2 potential bans switching alongside the side swap.
Yeah.
You're seeing the Suyo open and the Hayabusa open, because I don't think Team Philippines would ban their own Hayabusa in blue.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that already changes the face of game 2.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go back to what go back against what I said earlier.
Go back on it?
I still feel like the Hayabusa could be potentially banned out by
Even
the
in red.
Philippines. In the blue side. A blue side Hayabusa ban, depending on what Malaysia is going to signal for their first few bans.
All right. In my head,
on
I'm
the red.
assuming Philippines is already blue.
Mm.
So that's why
Yeah,
I
me too.
Yeah, so already
Okay.
I don't think they should touch that.
Okay.
Because the Nolan was as good as it was, and now how many amazing moments Saison was able to pull out in that game loss in game 1. I think it was really pulling more weight than it was capable of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it turned into a utility Nolan. How do you even end up doing that?
I think that's just the intelligence of Coach Ark, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He was able to negate the entire kill pressure that the Nolan was supposed to have.
And hey, we can't just put it all on Coach Ark. Coach Vecchi's also there.
Yeah, the coaching staff, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So the mind games are going to be ensuing very soon in the drafting phase, and we're going to see exactly how this unravels. But again, guys, I find, and I do agree with the Suyo, just leave it open. But if we had to choose, and if we had to argue strengths between the Suyo and the Alpha, what would the argument be?
Okay, so if this goes into the line of thinking, if I'm Malaysia, I'd rather get the Alpha. It's already tried and tested. You open up the Suyo, give the Suyo to the Philippines, get the Alpha for yourself, and then again, just play around what you did in game number 1, but replicate that onto the red side. If you're gonna pick up the Alpha, you already know that Gojas is a killer on the high loss. If you want to pressure the jungle, then you do go Alpha Heal the first 2, or Alpha high loss. It's jungle plus the Gojas pickup. If they delay that a little bit more, then we might even see an Edith get picked up, because you're already signaling, hey, you don't know where this is going, this is going to go roam, EXP, and you're forced to draft into it onto the blue side.
More technically sound fans might have a different opinion, but I stand on business, and I will die on this hill and say Alpha is currently the best jungler in MLBB right now.
Yeah.
So we're still sticking with that.
Yeah.
Alpha number 1.
Everyone else is a consolation prize.
Okay.
Unless you have a lineup or a draft that is very specifically built around something else. That's it. Again, an Angeling. I think that's still very strong. The Xborg, again, with a super solid 3 and 4 around the Xborg, that's also good. But at the end of the day, like pound for pound, Alpha's on top.
What about this, guys? When we got into the drafting phase, we saw the Alpha first pick, followed in by the Gata Harith, and then Malaysia followed in with the Lunox Hylos. Did you think that the Harith pickup was wise in the early stage?
Initially I did, because that really was them respecting Loyal's pickup, and at the same time, you really don't want to give Alpha and Harith to one team, since if they were forced into it. I wouldn't say that they had absolutely zero option, and they absolutely needed 100% to pick up the Harith. Again, even running through the possible simulations in my head, it feels like that was the best possible choice that they could have made. Maybe the Garakasha could have been different, could have been Harith and then something else. But then if you're in the Philippine side, you're already thinking, oh, we don't want to get pressure. The Garakasha and Alpha does provide a lot of pressure. We don't want an Alpha and a Harith to deal with. Let's just get the Garakasha and Harith. That's what it feels like to me from an outsider's perspective.
The Harith was not the problem. Even in team fights, you will see that the Harith was carrying its weight. It's no use crying over spilled milk, but sure, the Nolan did work, but maybe they weren't accounting for the fact that Gojas can play man-to-man like a beast.
Yeah.
So that might have, personally, if you're asking me about the first phase, that's where I would have switched it up.
Okay.
But there's a reason why it's Monsayak on the coaching staff, not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And not to take away the talent, not to take away from the efforts and the talents of the Malaysian squad, the other members of the Malaysian squad. But based on what we've seen from the matches we were able to see here in WEC this year, Gojas really has carried his own weight and has done excellent with a very simple job. A simple job that can, if you mess up, it messes up big time for the team, but Gojas has done so well with the man-to-man defense that he plays.
Yeah, there is a proverb that goes, I fear not the man who practiced 1,000 moves once, but the man who practiced one move 1,000 times. Gojas played what? Less than 5 heroes in WEC, right?
Yep.
Most prominent would be the Hilda and the Hylos.
Yep.
He played a CC and something else. Like I don't remember earlier in the groups, but the Hilda and the Hylos, those two alone have done so many things differently for Team Malaysia, and that's just 2 heroes. So as Team Philippines, like, you have to consider, how do we protect? Now it's weird that you're thinking of a formula to protect your jungler from an XP laner.
But technically, if that's the case, then isn't it easy to kind of capitalize over that? What happens if the Hylos gets taken away? What happens if the Hilda is not on the board?
Well, that opens up so much more picks if you're committing bans or stealing those right away out
That
of the
might be what
gate.
they want.
There's still the CC, there's still the Kali that he's already shown previously.
That's the
Again-
one. That's the
Again,
Kali.
not to say that it's impossible that, Gojis, there's no answer for Gojis. There most definitely is an answer for Gojis. The answers for EXP laners usually come with, number one, if you're going to be committing rotations into that to take them down right away. Number two, what is your crowd control makeup? And number three, what is the damage profile in your mid and in your jungle?
And that's where Galiante's pick comes in. Galiantes has to end up with a hero that can pressure Gojis and burst down whatever chunky boy or girl in Hilda's case, NCC, can do to undo what he's doing in the man-to-man against Saison. That's 80-90% of what Gojis did in Game 1. And that's a huge factor in that Game 1 win.
Definitely. That's something that we do need to take into consideration before we get into game number 2 of the grand finals. But ladies and gentlemen, as you can see earlier on, we have a lot of fans in the building right now, a lot of Malaysian support alongside with the Filipinos in the building as well.
I love that they brought their families too.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were talking about that yesterday, right?
Oh, no.
Malaysia and the family.
Not
buff
just
as
the
well.
athletes' families, the fans too.
Wow, yeah.
I'm seeing Filipino. I for sure I can tell they're Filipino, but they bring their kids. So start them young. Like MLBB is a beautiful game. Everyone can play it.
And it's a pretty game to look at. I mean, with all the colors, the effects. It's a pretty game.
Shiny.
It's shiny.
Would you allow your kids to play?
Only with me.
I will turn.
Only with
I will
you.
turn off chat though.
Okay.
Turn off chat and then with me.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. What would you ask them to learn first? What do you think that would be
Sling or nothing.
easier?
Rome.
Rome.
Yes.
Interesting take.
Because Rome is all here. And folks, I'm pointing to my head. Rome is here.
Yeah.
Playing a good Rome, it's here.
I will let them play whatever they want to play. Whatever makes them happy. Then tell them why
That's
it's
cute.
wrong.
What?
I'm kidding.
Daddy, I want to play Argus.
No.
Wolf would ask for Saber Rome.
No, I'm going to go back into that because I don't want the Argus mains chasing me. Argus is a great pick, y'all. I get you. But there's a reason why we don't see him in the pro scene that much, and I'm going to leave it at that.
You know, I'm wondering, with so much support in the building from the fans, I wonder what the audience thinks.
Mm.
What do you guys think? How do you think this grand finals will unfold? Will it be a 2-0 for Malaysia? Will we go to a full best of 3? Will the Philippines come back for a reverse sweep?
I can tell you now, a good chunk of Filipinos are sweating. they are just ooh, because game 1 was so close.
It was.
And game 1 shows that even if the Philippines come up with like these weird strats, like a split push and diversion on diversion, Malaysia can adjust on the fly. Malaysia can answer. So now the question is, oh no, that's we were throwing our best at you. What can we do for game 2? Because I'll tell you now who knows what to do for game 2. That coach right there. Like, they got the game plan. So it's just a matter of time. It's a horror movie you've never seen, so you don't know how it ends.
I wonder what's in the book.
I take that back. I hope it's not a horror movie for the Philippines. No, I hope it's a feel-good film, like a rom-com film. Yeah. Where the protagonist is down on their luck in the first half,
Hey, Gojis.
and then
Hey, Gojis, give us a thumbs up if you're good.
oh, that's
He's no longer on screen.
that's the look of he's locked in, man.
He's locked in. He's locked in.
Like a zero to hero story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you could say that because these are new faces. You know, Team Philippines.
Exactly.
Say for Saison, these are new faces. See, this is the face of a champion. Like this young man is
Hi,
just
Stormy.
just.
Oh, wait, no, Sakai, sorry.
That's
It was the shadow.
yeah. This young man
threw
was
me off.
named MVP just right across the street.
Yeah. And we saw that MVP performance of the Fanny.
Yeah.
Wasn't so great for Indonesia.
Yeah. That was yesterday.
Yeah, it was. It was yesterday.
Surprised you remember. If I were in your shoes, I would.
I think it's going to be in her memory for a while after what happened yesterday.
Quite some time, yes.
So it's not even your choice.
Honestly, at this point, I'm just typing out potential draft scenarios.
Oh, let's hear it.
I haven't typed anything
Okay,
yet.
fine.
I'm still clearing
Okay,
the
we'll give you
board.
some time. We'll give
about to.
Renmar some time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's typing.
Okay,
so
what is he typing?
In this hypothetical situation, Philippines on blue.
Yeah.
Quite the narrative we're weaving here because we're making assumptions.
That's the only thing we can do.
But I think that's the right assumption.
I honestly feel like that an Eve blue side ban is still warranted.
Yeah.
Maybe the Hayabusa Cho blue side ban from Team Philippines, if they do go blue side, that can change. Jushin for sure on the Malaysia side, because again, the idea is you open up the Suyo so that Philippines would potentially bite into the bait, pick up the Suyo, then you pick up the Alpha, pair that up with someone else, and when you have the Alpha, you don't want to go up against the Jushin.
Hold up. You're saying the Philippines wants to pick Suyo first? If
Yeah.
they're blue? Suyo and then give Alpha?
Huh?
That's risky business, man.
Wait,
Yeah,
we were
it's
just
ris-
arguing for Alpha.
Yeah,
What changed?
Yeah, we're arguing for Alpha, yeah, but then I'm coming at this from the Malaysian perspective of like, hey, let's just open the Suyo. But if ever they don't bite the bait and they go ahead and pick up the Alpha for themselves, then that becomes a different story. For sure, that means that it is going to be a Suyo on the other side. 100% though. Oh, I wonder who banned the Fanny. That's my question.
I think Malaysia on red would ban the Fanny.
At the same time, the Philippines can surprise it and
So yeah,
just,
open Alpha, open Fanny.
yeah.
Now what?
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, open Alpha, open Fanny. That's Fanny. All the way.
Because
Yeah,
there's no
that's-
Cho, because they banned the Cho in the blue, yeah?
Then you don't go Suyo anymore.
Malaysia.
go
For Malaysia, you
Alpha.
go Alpha.
Malaysia boleh. Look at
De-
the support.
Demi Malaysia.
Demi Malaysia. Malaysia langgar.
Langar, yeah, Langar.
See?
There
We're
you
just
go.
naming all of the
Yeah.
hashtags for the previous campaigns of Malaysia on the international stage.
Malaysia, hashtag Lafel, hashtag Gideon.
Love the support. Love the support, guys. Yeah,
Pretty sure they've used that too.
we need Lafel here.
I'm pretty sure he's watching right now, and I'm pretty sure he's hyped up. Or no. Right now, you know what he's doing?
What is he doing?
He's calming himself down.
Ah.
Because they are at championship point.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. Like, that's the right thing to do. And we got Filipino fans here, too. Wait, no. These are the dudes from Guam. What's going on?
Guam for Philippines.
those are Team Guam athletes.
And they're showing their support for the Philippines.
All right, see, Filipino fans have brought flags, too. And it's up the right way.
Yeah, I remember there were a few Filipino fans in other tournaments.
Is that
and
food?
Yeah,
that is
Manjin!
food. Imagine.
That is chicken in a sal. It's fried. No, it's grilled chicken. It's a
Grilled chicken.
very special dish concocted in the Central Islands of the Philippines.
Fun fact about the Philippines, we also make our own brand of leather goods. Very good, great. Leather goods from the Philippines. are
Durable.
Fantastic. Very durable.
That's right.
Long lasting.
Do you agree with that, Naisu? It seems like he's making a face. Oh yeah, he agrees. Thumbs
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
They last like decades in the esports, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have like a full English podcast. I wish you could bring the casters in. You know,
Yeah,
ask
but-
them what they think. Do they think that Alpha's better or Suyo's better?
If they like that.
If they like that.
I think it might
All
be
smiles.
I think it might also be good to just remind everyone again, like the stories between these two. Again, for Malaysia, they've never reached this point for the history of IESF.
Yep, country
in
championships.
2022. Yeah, they made it as far as quarters in 2022. Again, they weren't involved in the stage in Romania in 2023, and then now here they are potentially going to secure the World Championship,
The big one.
the big one, in the third year where we've seen MLBB as an event in the IESF World Esports Championship. While for the Philippines, this is their third year in a row they've made it into the grand finals. 22, fell to Indonesia 3-1, 23, defeated Indonesia 3-1 in Romania. Now in 24 in a very special best of 3 grand finals. Could potentially fall to Malaysia. Potentially.
So in the landscape of WEC, in IESF, the Philippines is still vying for domination.
Yeah.
In the grander scheme of things, it's reinvention. Everyone can agree that this brand of Seaball that they're sending is in an effort to show the world that hey, it's not all about just this set of athletes. We have so much talent,
Offer.
to offer on the global stage. But yeah, because of that recap, it's about going back to back. Can they? Because The truth is, Malaysia is just one game away. One game of MLBB away.
That's it.
You know what that means? On a micro scale, what that means for people watching? In half an hour, Malaysia could be raising that trophy.
Yeah.
You're cooking dinner, and then after that, Malaysia becomes champion. Like, that's how fast, how soon that is.
Yeah. You take
How urgent it is for the Philippines.
a nap, suddenly boom, Malaysia's champions.
Do your naps last 30 minutes?
I never sleep.
Interesting.
Take a good shower. You come out, Malaysia could be champion.
Exactly.
Including the dress up in skincare.
And that's why this result will actually pose yet more questions for the MLBB landscape. Because for the longest of time, again, the Philippines have just been such a huge powerhouse, reigning every single international tournament.
For 4 years now.
4 years, can you imagine that? That's because like in esports world, 4 years is a long time. That's 2 seasons of MPL regionals.
Yeah.
And then we have
No.
8. Yeah.
8. That's 8 seasons. Yeah.
We have a fan of a Filipino caster named Ate Chantel there.
Oh, Chantel Ganda mo.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
works. I'm so glad you remembered the good things we've taught you in that very important, crucial moment.
Thank you,
You
thank
remembered the good things
Thank you,
that
thank
we
you.
taught you.
The demons did not win the day.
The demons did not win
Do not
today,
give
it
in to
turned
your
out.
intrusive thoughts, guys.
Thank you all for your patience again. Of course, we want to set everything up, all of our players and our athletes for success. So please bear with us. But yeah, thank you for your patience as the draft might be heading up in just a bit.
Very, very soon.
Again, the, what is it, $60,000 question?
70.
$70,000 question. Is the Philippines going to go blue? We still don't know that.
Yeah, I wonder if we have an update or if we could get an update as to which. Oh, wait. Maybe we'll get it now.
We'll get it now. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We are moments away of coming into the drafts. It should be popping up real soon. Okay, fine. Oh, there you go. Philippines, first pick. That answers the question.
There it
The
is.
70,000 USD question. Yves banned out first.
Yep.
So we got a couple of assumptions, right? Philippines go blue. Philippines still bans out the Eve.
Yeah. Jushin, about Jushin ban could be coming up here. Trying to think if the Filipinos will go for a crazy ban and like ban out the high laws or something in the first phase blue side. Again, considering that we might be opening up the possibility of the trade of the Alpha Suyo, maybe Fanny bans might actually not come up until the 3rd.
Yeah.
Like they're sort of gonna tease each other. Are you gonna open the Fanny? Are you gonna open the Fanny? We're not gonna open the Fanny.
Yeah, Fanny becomes the...
Oh! It is a
It
high
is a
law ban.
high-low. See,
Okay.
So not the Hayabusa. So it's clear. Team Malaysia was attacking Saison.
Yeah.
Now, Team Philippines attacking Gorgeous.
Yeah, that's the question I posed, right? What happens if you take these heroes away from Gojas?
Yeah.
And also, it's another mind game in the jungle.
Good ban. by the
Fanny's still
Philippines.
open.
Come on, Fanny 3rd. Ban something else right now. So you're not looking to ban out the first pick? Maybe they're looking to... Ah, okay. They decide,
No,
no,
sir.
let's not delay. Let's take out the Fanny now. So the Alpha Suyo trade is activated. Are they going to commit either another crazy ban into the Valentine or maybe even Hilda? If it's not the Hilda, they could pinch another one of the big... How do you call this? Flex, the Edith, potentially. Because if they ban out the Valentina here, that's an easy Edith pickup for Malaysia in the first 2.
Yeah, something tells me Edith comes out second phase.
Yeah.
Whether ban or pick. So you're fine. I think first phase, they would stick to the homework.
It's so eerie. This entire vibe is eerie. They're taking so long.
Stick to the fundamental bans.
Harith banned out by the Philippines.
Away from Loliel.
Really respecting the Harith of Loliel here. I mean, are you going to give the chip to a Filipino team now?
Oh, that's
Is
never
the
happened.
question. Because if the chip is open, then the Alpha Suyo trade opens up the possibilities. He's open again. Let's see if the Filipinos will decide to pick it up.
You go chip and you give Alpha Suyo, doesn't matter. They can't take both. Oh no, Coach Pao faced him with a bevy of decisions that he's never had to make before. Like, as a Filipino, we've never seen chip open.
I think now maybe... Part of me is still saying just go ahead and steal the alpha away. And my thought process earlier, I thought that maybe Philippines would consider just picking up the Suyo. It's Kyle Teasy. It is
Oh, there
the
it is.
Suyo. Yeah. So they can go Suyo here,
Alpha.
then
Alpha
Alpha.
X.
Yeah.
Alpha Hilda.
You go Alpha Edith or Alpha Valen. I feel like a
Knowing
Valentina
Gojas,
Stormy
wouldn't you want a comfortable pick on him?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I think Alpha Hilda.
Yeah, maybe Alpha Hilda then, if that's the case.
It's Alpha X.
It's
What-
got to be Alpha, right?
Here's
It's not a plot twist and then they don't
There's-
pick up the Alpha.
There's no need for Malaysia to rush the Alpha. I don't think
You're
the
right.
Philippines would do anything. Would be so crazy to put Alpha in Fernandez's hands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they don't need to rush it because you can pick it third, pick up power picks right now. You can go Edith for Yumes again, but nope, it is Yumes. You put him on the signature choke, get the pressure in the jungle, and it's pressure in the jungle for the first 2 picks right away from Malaysia. So for the Philippines, are you gonna take away the Valentina? Make sure that Stormy doesn't end up with it. Valentina and Cho will outpoke a lot of centerpieces. Valentina Khalid look good.
Then again, this is the MDL winning championship squad. So I don't think it's out of their playbook to just steal the Alpha, throw it into the hands of Fernandez and call it a day. We've seen XP lane Alphas do good.
Yeah?
Nope, never mind. Not gonna happen.
The answer
This-
answer though from the Philippines.
They do steal the Val.
Jawhead Valentina. So we're going signature pick after signature pick for both of these teams,
Yeah.
but yet they still have not answered it. Do you think this Jawhead is the answer to the Hilda aggression, or do they need a different solution?
Well, it matches the aggression that a Cho can dish out because you get tossed. The poke of a Jawhead Valentina is really great as well. It would be a massive swerve if Malaysia suddenly goes tanky in the jungle. That's going to surprise the Philippines, and that Jawhead pick is now going to start thinking about its own existence. But this still might most likely be an alpha. Jawhead will turn off the potential Ling. Lings historically struggle up against the Jawhead roam. Any assassin. What if they surprise and suddenly just go and plop in Hayabusa and not even make it Alpha Suyo? But of course, why not? It's Alpha Suyo! You go for Alpha!
It has
Yeah.
to be. So now expecting Philippines to attack Stormy.
Does
Ban out-
Malaysia want to ban Uranus though?
Oh, we don't have any precedents just yet for the Uranus on the side of the Philippines.
But the 3 heroes right now in red don't have the right damage profile to deal with the Uranus. So maybe,
Yeah.
just to be safe, do it now. Or do it in red 5. Doesn't matter, red 5 ban.
Yeah, could be a little bit later. Again, if ever the Uranus pops for the Philippines later, it's not going to be a fault for Malaysia to not ban it out because, again, they don't have history on it. So they go ahead and take out the 1-1 instead. Again, 1-1s are not necessarily the happiest, but they don't worry that much about the Cho compared to other marksmen because they already have the innate
Cleanse.
Purify in their second skill. So Aurora getting respected, so now they're pinning down on Stormy's best possible picks.
They can attack Stormy in red, in blue 4, and then blue 5 attack Lolial again. Really
But
make it
remember-
difficult.
Malaysia, they can still pick up something like the Luo Yi.
Yes, that was also in my head as well, that the Philippines might actually consider banning that out in the 5th pick. 5th ban. If they don't ban out the Lo Yi, then that's Philippines saying, oh, you know what, go ahead and pick it up. EXP. I wish I knew what Gorgeous was saying there. But it seems like he's giving assurance to the
He seems very confident.
Guys,
yeah, to the
what do you
Cardinal.
guys think about this? What if Theramis pops up for Malaysia? That's exactly what the Philippines did to Indonesia against the Suyo.
This looks like a
they
really good
lost.
Faramis 3 though. These first 3?
Yeah.
Solid on Faramis.
And it's not rare, it is quite rare, but it has happened where teams would still pick up a Faramis even though they know there's a Valentina on the other side.
Yeah.
But the problem with picking up the Faramis in number 4, it could go into number 5, depending on what Philippines picks in their EXP. Because right now the EXP laner for the Philippines needs to be tanky. It needs to be the front. Because the Jawheads pick off type. You're up against the Hilda, the Alpha, the Cho. The front line of the Philippines is losing currently. At this point, they're stuck with either a Gata Gacha or a Terizla for the sheer tankiness alone.
There you go. They read into the Louis situation. Not gonna happen.
The
So
ban.
you're only looking at the Vex or a Faramis, unless there's something up the sleeve of Stormy that's gonna shock the world.
If they want amazing wave clear, Lily is an option.
That will put the pressure on to whatever tanky EXP laner the Philippines decides to pick.
Lily's good too.
Great for late game if ever they're forced into the corner to go into there. Gold laner for Loliel. I mean, Bruno's one of his usual go-tos. Up against the Jawhead.
Yeah,
Trying to
you
think of the potential tanky EXP laners that he might be up against. And they might go Magic and... I mean, Nathan's still open.
Nathan's open, Lunox is open. There's a Faramis.
Hell of a predict there, Eternal. Good call. And they still do pick into it. They said, we don't need to wait. In terms of what's left in the EXP lane, they do not have enough.
Does the Philippines go Melissa? Melissa's so good against the 3 here.
Yeah. Maybe even slightly better than Claw, but it's very team fight heavy. You're deciding to go pure team fight up against a lineup that is right now, or even most likely going to win in team fights, even if you go tanky with the EXP laner here.
Is Melissa still a really good lane bully? Or has Clint taken that mantle?
We don't know because we don't see what Loliel's picking.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, generally, Melissas are happy to lane bully.
Yeah, so
Generally.
Team Philippines has to take a shot in the dark if they're going to commit hard on the Melissa, but no, it's the Irithel
Yeah.
and the Gatot.
Yeah, it was just a Gato to Rizla and then
XP
the
Gatot.
Irithel here. A lot of pressure on this Jawhead. A lot of pressure on this Jawhead because Malaysia can just go pure snowball, just go Bruno here even. Give Saison a taste of his own medicine, then surprise with a Brody maybe, but they can just go big chunky damage, each basic attack type of gold laner. If they want to be a little bit more patient with it, then they can afford to go for the more DPS attack speed build. But hell, Bruno Brody, I would not be mad.
What about the Moscow?
If they want a little bit more
Technically,
coverage.
it's a little bit more defensive as
Yeah.
a gold laner.
That's true.
It
And
doesn't lean hard into the early game advantage Malaysia has now.
there's a chance you could also punish the Jawhead entry with a Moskov. Yeah, nice one. Faramis and Moskov. Great calls it there now.
I don't know.
Just be proud of
Okay,
Take
thanks
it.
guys.
Take
Be
I'll
it.
proud
take
of
it.
yourself. That was really
But there
good.
it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the drafting phase for potentially the last game in the grand finals. One more game away of crowning our champions. So with that, Reptar, Leo, we're going to throw it over to you real quick. What do you guys think about the draft's predictions?
I think Team Philippines ended up with the tools that they want. Not once in the draft did I feel they got choked. So I think this is their best shot at going to Game 3.
It was very good for Malaysia in my books.
They won the first phase, and they picked up solid picks to support that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Like the Team Philippines lineup does have the right tools, but it's very risky. Maybe there's a reason why the Jawhead works so well for them. Maybe they played very differently. That even though Gato Kacha is their only main frontliner, that the Jawhead is actually going to shine here. I haven't seen it in action. We're finally going to see it in action here.
Let's go. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to throw it over to the deciding moment. Naisu, Mirko, take it away.
You know what? Eterna's still smiling because she got those 2 picks right. And I know what it feels like because sometimes I get lucky too and use that game knowledge. But what we do know is it's championship point for Malaysia right now.
1-0.
It's me, Naisu, Mirko here to bring you the action. Once again, it's a best of 3 for the championship here at WEC 2024 in Malaysia. I'm looking at the lineup here, and I feel like I would say it the same way Redmar said it, Mirko.
Yep.
You know, I feel like this draft is Malaysia's upper hand.
I agree.
think there's a lot has to fall into place for the Philippines to really make this work. What do you think?
I agree with you, man. I agree with Renmar too. I think Malaysia definitely have their comfort draft, right? Everything was great. The Moskov as well, though we were talking about the Bruno pick, possible last pick there up against the Irithel too. They went for the Moskov for, I think, more activeness on the map to also match the side lane pressure. So I think the Moskov works too. And yeah, for Philippines, it all comes down to if they can get that early snowballing with the Suyo, with the Jawhead. Because if that happens, I think they have the tools to actually force out a Game 3, like Leo mentioned.
Yeah.
I can see his vision too.
It has to, almost in a way, like almost comes down to how do you execute the Jawhead?
Yeah.
Like for the most part,
It's a
because
risky pick.
The Jawhead is a little risky pick, and I know some of this also is comfort, especially if you've been following, you know, these individual players from the Philippines and their journey of becoming champions and everything else over in MDL Philippines and all of that. But again, there is some risk to this draft here to be able to execute it properly. And yeah, I think even with the Moskov, because we were thinking about the Bruno that we have seen also Lolio play twice, was it yesterday?
Yep.
Brought it to the table. This time around, again, Mozkov just kind of gives them the option that if they want to go ahead and keep him in the lane, push and split push that he wants to, then just join the fight later on. You can always do that, and most likely that could be one of the game plans here for Malaysia as they go through that game. Because if you missed game number 1, it was what, 21 minutes I think it was, around 21-minute mark.
Yep.
It was back and forth both times, but with these two drafts, I think, again, especially, we're taking kind of like a throwback. This is a throwback in the sense of you've got we're going to mostly have double Netherrealms. You know, you got a Valentina and a Faramis. This was, throwing it back to seasons ago, at least in the professional league, where you always saw the Valentina and the Faramis pick up. And now you also know, because you did see the Gatacontra, so I'm wondering also, is this a revitalized matchup too? Because if that's the case, then we are looking at some pretty extended team fights that should be taking place for this.
Yeah, we've seen Hilda go for Vengeance, for Revitalize too, so again, it really comes down to the, I would say, preference for the players. What do they like playing with, right? With the Hilda, with Vengeance, you can get a little bit more sustain out, soak in a bit more damage, but Revitalize, it's more of a team playing.
What do you like better?
Me?
Yeah.
Revitalize.
Revitalize?
As a gold laner, I would like to get healed. I don't want you to have your solo Vengeance.
Or your solo
where's my
sprint?
Revitalize? Yeah. No, I want Revitalize for me as a gold lane, but again, team play, or you want to just go into the enemy jungle alone, right? I think in this scenario, up against a Suyo, that's my question now. After the hot fix of Suyo, after the big nerf, I would say, towards his damage into objectives,
Yeah.
how hard did it hit him when it comes to jungle clear? Because we know that for Hilda, the way that you put pressure in is you stop the enemy jungle from clearing in with your poke, with your damage, with your all-in. If Suyo's nerf hit him that hard for the clear, this Hilda might be able to actually stop the Suyo.
I'm wondering if that's obviously part of the plan, because so far, and I know we discussed this, had our panel discuss this yesterday, especially with the Hilda, how it's such a hot pick right now, but we've also seen it, we've seen it fall flat on its face too. We've
Just
seen
yesterday.
that. Just yesterday we saw that. So there's still I guess some testing that can be done here where we got to see if that Hilda is enough, because again, this was what everybody was thinking, I would say, is that first pick was probably going to be the alpha. And then Philippines was like, no, we'll go with the Suyo. It doesn't matter if he did just have that, little bit of a nerf and everything else to his kit. They're still confident enough to go ahead and pick him. And we also saw, even with that, just yesterday, where the Suyo ended up working out pretty well, because even with that nerf to the objective damage and everything else, let's be honest, he's still a really good jungler. Just his kit alone.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, even the fact that he can go ahead and get some, ranged shots off, but then also be able to get in a position to actually assassinate people as well, and just play around objectives too. That's always something that you have to watch out for. The other thing that you have to look out for is this Irithil pick. You're the gold lane master here. How do you feel about that matchup? You have Irithil in the lane. Part of that also, I think, is the crossbow is going to work out really well, that heavy crossbow against when we're talking about the Nether Realms both coming up. How do you feel about the gold lane matchup?
The gold lane matchup is actually quite interesting, right? Because the Irithil actually does struggle up against heroes that have blinks. The Claude, the Moskov both have blinks, have a way to actually gap close to stop skill 1 from being that very oppressive zoning tool in the lane. So the Moskov, I would say, it comes down to it being a skill matchup. Depends on how they execute it. It's still a bit more 50-50. And yeah, I think the Moskov here, he's looking to just go for wave clear, go for prio in the lane, and then rotate across, because that's where the Moskov has as a strength compared to the Irithil. Irithil's going to have less of a time rotating around in the early game. Meanwhile, for Moskov, it's as easy as landing an SOD with the crazy amount of CC that they have around their team, and the crazy amount of power, I would say, around neutral objectives. Hilda plus the Alpha in the jungle, and also Cho. This is a very neutral objective, first turtle kind of deal lineup.
And not only that, I mean, aside from the Irithil, I thought you were going to mention this because you mentioned it yesterday. She's got the Ducati. Well, I'm assuming it's the Ducati skin.
Yeah.
Ducati skin. We did get word, by the way, he goes, that they're going to be fixing something, I believe, on stage here. I'm not sure which side it is, but they are going to go ahead and get settled up. You joined our podcast earlier on the panelists. Now you're here with us.
Yeah, Chicken and Maro. Now it's just us.
Yeah, they played that earlier, didn't they?
There's some pro players in the stage right now. I mean, watching here too.
It would have been great if we got to go and have more interviews, with players. It's always good to go ahead and pick their brains a little bit,
definitely.
And see how they're feeling and how their experience has been. And it was good to know also, through the course of just the IESF run in general. Remember, we started this, online qualifiers was like 6 months ago? It was like it
long
started
time
like a
ago.
while ago, right?
long
We
time
started
ago.
towards that part of the year, and now we are here, and it could relatively be one of the last games here for this run.
Yep.
And you know, like they mentioned, that prize pool is 160,000. First place is entitled to 70, I believe it is 70,000. And that's what they're playing up against here. And this is the thing, man. Looking at the fact that we broke down the Malaysian draft, especially, and that, you know, most of even the panel would agree that, yeah, they might have an upper hand in terms of the draft. This could be one of those situations where you might not expect it, but you maybe see a sweep here with this kind of draft. And that would solidify even further here, Mirko, that Malaysia as a whole has really risen in the tier list of strong countries, strong players, I feel like, in competitive MLBB.
Absolutely, right? We've seen these names before. I mean, Stormy, Yums, Skies.
Even on different teams before.
Even on different teams before. Gorgeous being the substitute to the SRG lineup. But again, here, doing so well, playing the high-lows really well, zoning so many members away, particularly Seisan from all the neutral objectives in game number 1. And we spoke of just how important getting game 1 was, Naisu, in a position like this, where it's best of 3 in the grand finals. Getting that first game, usually in a best of 5, it's like, all right, you get game 1, it's a warm-up, you get that extra point, and then you can try to read your opponents out. But in a best of 3, that momentum that you hold is crazy. And Malaysia, they're a team that actually thrives on getting
Aren't they
momentum.
known
We've seen
for it?
Yeah, they're known for momentum, and as DJY calls them,
What
they're
is
the
it
king
called?
of best of 3s.
They're the king of best of 3s?
They're the king of best of 3s.
I would assume the reason why they have that title is because they haven't lost many best of 3s.
Yeah. They've only, I think this tournament they lost in the group stage against Team
Group stage,
Philippines.
yep.
That's a best of 3. Philippines won 2-1. But so far, again, it is 1-0. They're looking like they have a
Looks
draft
pretty
that
good,
actually
yeah.
can go for the head as well, go for the throats. We'll
Man, that'd
see.
be crazy. Think about the last day here, you know? Last day we had the Battle of Thirds. That was a sweep. This one, not yet, but, you know, people, I think even when our panel asked the chat, like, there's a lot of Malaysian fans that have risen through the ranks, I would say, and over the course of this year, and they're looking at the same thing. You know, they want to see if they can continue this kind of dominance, if you will, for what would relatively be a great year. I mean, think about it. Like, even if Malaysia ends up winning this championship here for the WEC, they won a major tournament, like Leo mentioned, across the street earlier this year. And then we all know where they're going to be playing next and where our next major tournament is held. So it's just like, you know, seems like it's going to be a year just for Malaysia in general.
Malaysia's year, right? I mean, we've been talking about it being Malaysia's prime year. And just based on that previous event, the major international, we can already say that this is already Malaysia's prime because
It
that's
already
their
is, yeah.
first international tournament. If they go back-to-back with another international tournament here, the World Esports Championship, that makes it 2, right? And then later on, makes it 3. They're already kind of on a golden road here. Nice.
Definitely going to be a golden road that they're fighting for. But again, thank you for being patient with us, guys. We are going to be taking a short break while things get fixed out here to go ahead and get ready for the game. So we'll be back after the break.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're landing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for the World Esports Championship.
In a world where victories can be measured in gold and silver, some things are priceless.
Fully expected, and it is Barrow find him. Can shine for one with a quick trade from Impulse.
Some things are not bought with money.
The base is too open. Now Philippines is now taking the base of Indonesia. Remember their name.
The feeling of standing alongside your fellow countrymen, the emotion, the home crowd, the weight of a whole nation on your shoulders.
Sometimes I get emotional by the fact that I got chosen to be one of the representatives of my country. And yeah, it's just a dream, honestly.
Here it's not just about the game, it's about the pride that unites us. Every match tells a story.
They need to some missed shots. Sound picking up another one, another headshot. No way! 4 kills! What has happened?
From every corner of the globe. All eyes on WEC24.
Early 1970s. The world was discovering the boundless possibilities of esports. While esports offered endless enjoyment and addictive allure, it lacked a certain depth and a sense of purpose. it needed something more, something larger than a trophy, something beyond individual gratification. That's when a vision emerged. A vision of uniting the world through esports. The International Esports Federation and the World Esports Championship were born. Its mission was clear: to create a stage where nations could unite and compete for the ultimate title, World Esports Champion. For these athletes and nations, the World Esports Championship was more than just a competition, more than just a game. A chance to make history, to leave a lasting legacy, to inspire a generation, and to represent their nation. Over the years, IESF started achieving greatness year by year. Korea, Indonesia, Israel, Romania, worldwide. The World Esports capital changed, each year expanding significantly, getting bigger and bigger. Fast forward 15 years, IESF was determined to show the world the most valuable World Esports Championship. 140 nations gathered in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The WEC24 story. 2024. Saudi Arabia prepares to host the 16th World Esports Championship after a spectacle made in Iași, Romania by IESF for WEC23. New president, new challenges, and quite a bumpy road ahead. As the calendar turned to January, the national qualifiers took place, breaking dozens of records. In a wingspan of 3 months in every nation across the globe, athletes competed to get one step closer to the World Esports Championship and represent their nation on the global stage. However, as fate would have it, the road to WEC24 was far from smooth. Things went south. 2 out of 3 offline regional qualifiers were forced to go online. Even though that barrier occurred, the online regional qualifiers shattered previous viewership records. The hype for WEC24 was real. Meanwhile, Africa. IESF showed just how much potential is hidden in Africa. Over 180 athletes, 17 nations, and thousands of fans. All in one place for one specific reason: esports. The bumpy road came to an end. The slots for WEC24 were secured and everyone was ready. The much anticipated 16th World Esports Championship set sails. WEC24 Day 1.
Ahlan bikum. Welcome. Bienvenue. Bienvenidos. Willkommen. Benvenuti. Добро пожаловать. Välkommen. Welkom. Bem-vindos. 환영. 요코소. 환영합니다. Hoş geldiniz. Καλώς ήρθατε. Swagat hai. Witajcie. Yindit nab. SEF Arena.
You know I can't help but this, cause they know they can never touch this. So they let me talk my shit, or I might just throw another fit.
no problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head.
This gun was loaded when he brave boys decided to go for the run. It's the fire. It's the fire.
And welcome back once again, and thank you for being patient with us. We're jumping to the land of Dawn. We are into a championship point right now, the grand finals. Defending champions Philippines versus Malaysia. Once again, I'm Naisu, joined here with Mirko to bring you game number 2 in this best-of-3 championship game and series. Mirko, let's talk about the draft again. Just get a refresher, because it took a minute to get back into the land of Dawn.
Yeah, based on the draft, man, Malaysia definitely have a bit of an upper edge here. The way that they can play the game, very aggressive all the way from the start, early control. Just like we've seen, I think the meta has kind of shifted to a pure early to mid-game focused composition every single time, right? Those early to mid compositions usually do so much better. But honestly, it's really good from Philippines as well, because they also do have that early aggression to play with. That's why first turtle is going to be massive. Whoever gets it first should have a massive advantage coming into the game, especially as we get into the mid game here. And you can already see the Suyo prioritization for first pick here is doing well. We were expecting that maybe because of the hot picks, because of the nerf, the Hilda could try to go for the invades early, but no, Suyo still looking good.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, and part of that too, again, you have to look at the fact that, you know, we talked about maybe the potential for these kind of longer team fights going on, and that is the 2 revitalizes, right? One for each team. The typical thing we're seeing with the Faramis, you have that Netherrealm, and then you have the Valentina for Galante, so he's probably going to be taking that as well. So these are going to be very extended team fights that eventually break out once especially these objectives are up. And then you have to kind of paint the picture of, all right, you've got 2 roamers who can be playmaking potential, and who is going to be able to set that foot first. You know, who gets that momentum going first. And oftentimes when you look at it, you know, I would say Yums is going to have the work cut out for him a little bit more, because obviously you can misangle the kick, right? You misangle that way the dragon, whereas again, Gomez can just kind of jump on in, unstoppable force and then, you know, toss someone over his head if he wants to. It's a little bit easier to pull off. Turtle's gonna start up though.
Fernandez getting taunted down as well. Yums, Jikundo, good revitalize, already used up Skies. Oh, good ejector over to Skies still. Good retreat from Saison, securing it an AOG from Fernandez. Turtle 1 taken by Philippines.
Nice and easy and clean. You know, we saw this also last game too. Relatively, you know, slower pace than what we've seen in previous matches. But with the first objective secured, again, that's just gonna give a very small advantage. Nothing too crazy just yet. Gomez providing the information on where the pathing is for Skies, and you know, Stormy and Yums definitely gonna go and help protect him up. But that's the thing, Yums is almost level 4. Wow, look at the damage.
Critical just now, unstoppable force, ejector, and the execute from Saison. First blood. This early aggression. Skies right in the bush. Together with Yums, Galantis does have the Nether Realm, and Skies will not go for the Spear of Alpha just yet.
Okay, furthering that advantage that I was just talking about. You know, and this is what I was saying. Gomez can just go ahead and unstoppable force and then ejector, and that's what he's going to be doing time and time again. For Yums, he's got to make it work. He's got to find those angles, and that's one of the difficult parts about making this work, where, again, he's got to rely, too, possibly most of the time, having Stormy alongside him, you know, just in case he gets caught out a little bit. But nothing too crazy. Malaysia's been in this position before. They'll go ahead and just try to find a guaranteed pick-off if they can find it. Galantes, like I said, will hold on to that Nether Realm the majority of the time. I'm not sure if there's anything else he might take over.
Look at the rotation, man. They've essentially shut down Gojas already once now. They're actually looking to go to play amongst Gojas again. Unstoppable force into the ejector, into the stun of Saison and the taunt as well. Waiting on Nether Realm from Stormy. Gojas will be able to survive. That's a big ult though.
That's a lot. Not only the ult, right? The ult is used. They get the Revitalize out from Gojas. And all this was the timing of the Turtle, right? Turtle's going to be up in less than 10 seconds. And so they get at least an ultimate out of it. Stormy might have it back up depending on how they delay this, but it looks like they just might give the Turtle up. You know, look for a play elsewhere. They're kind of falling behind when it comes to these a little bit of decisions at the macro level. So Saison secures that second Turtle. Gojas could be in trouble.
Again, unstoppable force up top, the ejector. Now Gojas gonna be eliminated again. Saison goes in for the blades of the Soul Sever and snipes him down up top.
The fadeaway.
The fadeaway clean. And just like we were talking about, Naisu, early game is where you want to be ahead, right? Having the control in the early game. Turtle number 1, we were talking about how prio Turtle number 1 is going to be, and Philippines got both the first Turtles.
Yeah, they got both of them, and you know, this is already a little bit different in terms of what we saw in the previous game, because you know, these minor things that are happening in this early portion of the game, they all stack up. And that's what they're going for. You know, they're stacking up these Turtles. They're stacking up a couple of kills if they can find them. And that's also off the back of Gomez. Gomez able to get off that pick-off potential where Yums, you know, we haven't been able to see him do it yet. And again, that's the struggle of where is that window of opportunity for Yums? How can he actually get in position to get the proper kickoff? And if you think of it, who is he going to weigh in the Dragon? Even if he kicks Galantes, there's another realm that Galantes pretty much has 24/7. And so that is the difficult thing we have to see them do. Gojas has been struggling as well. Just gets that first item locked in. Look at the play here under the tier 1.
Well, Loli already forced to use the Purify. Gets a Spear of Misery onto Galantes and Torres. But again, for Loli, it's all about just surviving in this lane. Against the Aerithel, we were talking about how it's a skill matchup. And so far, Torres has definitely gotten the dub here in the lane department. Galantes on the Valentina. It's definitely going to be a big threat as we get into the mid-game here, Naisu. We know just how oppressive a Valentina can be, especially when you get the snowball going, and it's a turret up top taken by Saison, accompanied by Gomez, just to open up the map a bit more. And turtle number 3 is going to be spawning in the bottom lane.
All right, turtle number 3. You know, we see this time around if Malaysia can actually contest this. But I think given the way things have gone, man, unless they get a pick-off started where they get this advantage, they're going to have a very difficult time approaching this. Fernandez charging up, the Unbreakable goes for Yums.
It's just a taunt onto Yums. They know the real target is Skies. So Gomez, he looks to go for Skies. Fernandez is there as well. Pops in Revitalize as well, trying to bait out a few of those abilities. You can see the true damage, even with the AOG, not enough. Galantes popping in the realm. Yums able to go in for the way to Dragon and Jikundo into the back. Only finding Torres though, still with a heavy crossbow, able to trade it out. Now Gomez in the midst of it all, dealing a lot of damage. It's Gomez taken down by Stormy. It's Loliel on the turtle. Saison failing the dash, and it will be Loliel who will secure the turtle. Saison going back to his own jungle, and conceding that turtle.
All right, that was a little messy, but hey, Malaysia gets quite a bit in the exchange. They also get the turtle. They get a couple kills. There's a jump in. Avatar the Guardian not going to land, but Saison, are they going to chase? Taunt.
Taunt over to stun him down. Saison might want to go for it, but notices Yums is right there with the conceal. Good pressure from Malaysia.
You know, part of that too, again, is the fact that they're playing around those timings, and they did a really good job. You pointed this out before the fight actually broke out, where they knew the right target.
Yep.
And that's all they have to do. Sometimes it's more so of what can we bait out, whether that's the battle spells, whether that's even a revitalize, it can turn the tide of these fights. And the way Malaysia approached that last objective shows that, you know, even though they were down in the early game and they've got a couple thousand gold to build up on, they're relatively still a threat to lineup that the Philippines brought to this game. And that's something that has to be respected here, especially now. You know, Yums picking up another defensive item, has that harass now, and he's able to actually get in a position maybe where he just gets the kickoff. He takes a couple shots, but it's all right because he's got now some of the defensiveness that he needs to land it. And earlier, you saw who he kicked, right? He got Torres right when he needed to, which gave the space for them to take the objective. So Philippines will have to go with the adjustments on how they approach the next phase of this game.
That's the way the Dragon revitalized, used up. Netherrealm 2, Fernandez displaced completely away from Netherrealm though. Galantes still able to dash away. Now Fernandez, AOG, just in time to escape. Galantes picks up the Starlium Scythe in the 8th minute of the game.
All right, Fernandez had to use a lot to survive. Luckily he does. But again, you're 15 seconds away from the Lord coming up, and Malaysia has looked like they've gotten the pendulum in their favor, at least for now. Yums putting some pressure there, of course. They want to get this tier 1, open up the map a little bit for this. It looks like they will get it. The poke, you got to respect it. Good push up top as well from Saison. They have not been able to answer him just yet. And this is what he loves to do. You know, whether it's the Nolan, whether it's the Suyo, he'll push the other side of the map. And so Malaysia will constantly have to worry about that. But now that Lord's up, this is where you can go ahead, put Lolio there, let him go ahead and push that wave in, do his thing, and just SOD, and Saison gets the Blade of Destruction. He's got that available to him, so now they have to just go and claim their space around this Lord take. Being that the first one, again, either team can go ahead and prioritize that if they want to, but relatively take their time. Skies will go ahead and get in position, and again, it's up to, we'll see this, use, conceal.
Again, Liberty Gundo with the flicker, able to find it, but it is going to be purified out of it. Fernandez now with AOG, unable to survive. Galantes a bit late with the Netherrealm too. Gomez earlier went for the ejector. Galantes caught in the midst of it all. Yums chasing him. G2 no! Lolio spearing him in. Saison in the midst of it all. Trying to deal damage, but it's not going to be enough to take anyone down. Blinks out the safety spear of Alpha from Skies. Gomez low!
He gets into the turret, takes a couple shots and has to back off. Skies will still be alive and he doesn't go down, but this is a position now for Malaysia to start with the Lord.
2-4-0 trade for Malaysia, and you can see the health bars. They played that so well. Crisp, clean execution as they secure the first Lord of the game.
Man, oh man, Malaysia playing these team fights so well. A lot of times it's just even responding on the fly. Again, it was great from Gomez. You know, he got the injector off and set things up, but again, the response, and I don't know how, man, but Sky's surviving that, even being thrown into the turret. How many times have these Malaysian players gotten away with just a sliver of HP? Even earlier, you know, we saw Saison go right in positioning, soul severs on what, 3 members, I think it was, of Malaysia, but then gets shoved into the wall, right, because Lolio was there on that Moskov. And that just played a part. Again, you have to watch out for these choke points in the jungle. And so Gojez, after experiencing that early game, he's ready to go ahead and just provide that vision and push people off of these objectives on the map. Fernandez gonna go in, doesn't choose to go in with the Unbreakable, but they still gotta deal with this Lord now. They're gonna lose a lot of these tier 2 turrets now on the map. Philippines, what can they do here? Are they actually gonna force a fight themselves? Do they just clear out, take the discipline round, mid lane?
Mid lane, Saison still able to blink out there. Oh, great Netherrealm from Stormy again, saving Yums with a sliver of HP up top. Fernandez is holding the Lord down, not letting it hit the Holy Defense, but in the end, he's gonna have to sacrifice the Holy Defense. Galantes clearing it out together with Gomez. And to answer your question, I feel like at this point, they just gotta do housekeeping. They gotta start defending again. Gomez is walking up though. Maybe looking for a fight. Skies right there in the bush. Oh, whoa! Spirit Babble actually did go for the connection there. Gomez still has the unstoppable force. Slowly already uses Spirit Misery. Oh, Yums again with the weighted dragon. The GQ no flinker finds its mark. SOD to the back. Lolio going wild. A taunt as well, but Purify and with nature helps him out again. Yums walks up with the GQ no. Lolio's an absolute beast, forcing Fernandez to AOG defensively. Galantis chased down in the bottom lane. Gojes will keep on pressuring him, forcing out the Revitalize, and now going to mid.
Oh, that was enough pressure to go. They're going to get the mid turret. They got a wave pushing in. There's no way they clear this and end this game just yet.
Spear of Alpha into the back. Atlantis taking down another realms right there. Saison trying desperately to clear out the waves in the very same grounds that they won. It's Riyadh previously for Malaysia. It is Riyadh again for Malaysia.
Malaysia does it again. The strategies, the play style, the synergy that this team has shown. Even when they meet adversity, man, they come together and they make it work. And Yums as well on this show. I was talking about the obstacles he has to get through to find the right mark, and that he did. And now we see it, of course, the sportsmanship between the two teams. The Philippines, the defending champions, will not be champions this time around. Albeit a different team, but still a strong, formidable opponent. Man, what a performance from Malaysia.
A brilliant performance from Malaysia, man, knowing just how to turn it around again. We were talking about how the early game would dictate a lot of the game itself, right? Into the mid game they go. It was Philippines dictating a lot of the pace, getting the first two turtles. But Malaysia, that tenacity and that creative control that they have over games. They can lose out the first few, fight it out, and get back that control with one massive fight, and they've done it. They've done it here today.
They've done it here today, man. They look like they're ready to raise that trophy right now, but I believe as everybody gets situated on stage, you know, they were talking about the confidence that Goja showed too, man. He was locked in. He was locked in. He dealt with so much aggression on the Hilda earlier on. They made it work. There it is. Your champions for WEC 2024 IESF Malaysia. Once again, what a performance from this squad, from the coaching staff, from everybody supporting them. From here in Riyadh and even at home and around the world, congratulations to Malaysia for making it happen here. Can't wait to hear from them. That's going to be it for me, Naisu, and Mirko here on the caster stand. We're going to throw it on stage with Malaysia, your new champions, and Bara. Take it away.
Wow, wow, wow. I did not even blink. Didn't even have the chance to even breathe another breath. My heart skipped a beat, and all of a sudden, Malaysia, the new champions. How do you feel about this?
Very honored and very happy.
Wow, wow. Like, did you wake up this morning saying that, you know what? I'm gonna win. It's gonna happen. Or we were like feeling like, you know what? I don't know. We'll do our best. What was your feeling this morning?
This morning, when I wake up, I was like, oh, today's gonna be my day.
Ooh, and it is definitely, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, your champions for the WEC24 IESF. Let's hear for Malaysia, everybody! Wow, wow, and back to you, analysts. I know you have a lot to say right now.
Wow. Congratulations to Malaysia winning it all from going, I can't even talk. They were able to qualify from their respective